Welcome to Compression, the quest to $100 million in just 1 year. Join me, your host, Logan Freeman, in this one-of-a-kind interactive podcast experience where I am on a quest to compress 3 years of achievement and production into 12 months. And no, the answer is not to just work harder. I'm bringing you not only ideas and concepts that are complete at the theoretical level, but they're also effective at the applied level. Look, guys, knowledge is not power. It is potential power. Knowledge plus massive strategic action equals power. We're talking about strategy, systems, accountability, all in real time. This is Compression. Welcome back to another episode of the Compression Podcast. Before we got on, I was just kind of sitting in this office here and I was thinking about, why are we doing this? What am I doing here at 4:30 in the morning on a Saturday? What is the purpose, right? And I went back to some things that I was thinking through, and I always keep these quotes, very close to my reach, so I can always grab these. But one thing that I think kind of rings true is inspirational dissatisfaction, which is something we've talked about previously on the podcast. And I pulled up this quote: "Your life did not just happen. You experienced life exactly how you fashioned it. If you are unhappy with where you are, you can deconstruct the parts you don't like and build them up again." Napoleon Hill and W. Clement Stone told us, "You can profit by disappointment if it is turned into inspirational dissatisfaction. Rearrange your attitudes and convert the failure of one day into the success on another." And I think that hits the theme or the core of what we're doing on a regular basis, man. And it kind of gave me some, what I'll say, confidence or inspiration and motivation this morning, because, I don't know how many folks are up at 4:30 on Saturday, kind of reviewing weeks and staying accountable and talking about what we just did for 30 minutes. But I think the winners are. And I've been back to listening to Tim Grover. I'm going to reread both of his books, Relentless and Winning, here very soon. But this isn't normal. It's not normal to be reviewing weeks, going over wins, losses, and learnings, staying accountable, thinking through how to get better on a regular basis. But it's what it takes. And what it takes is what I'm willing to do. And, when I was thinking about why, I was like, well, why are you doing this? It's not for the money. It's not for the accolades. It's not for the achievements. It's actually because I have to feel like I'm becoming a better version of myself on a regular basis. If I don't, I feel stagnant, and I am deathly afraid of mediocrity. And so I just wanted to start with that, because I just wrote down in my journal right before we got started. I was like, what are we doing this for? And I wanted to ask you, Jerome, what the heck are we doing here, man? I mean, I know you're in this position a lot more than maybe I am in regards to talking with folks and keeping them accountable and all of that thing. But what are we doing here, man? What is this all for? What are we doing this for?
It's a social proof that dreams can be real, man. Think about a year ago when we started talking about this thing and the big, hairy, audacious goal that we were embarking on. And then it's a year later, man. Literally, a year later. And it's the consistency is working that muscle so that when you do enough work to tip the thing, you get everything that you wish for, dream for, hope for, right? It's just chiseling away at it. You think about the Grand Canyon and the way it was formed, and you look at that river running down through the bottom of that thing, looking down thousands and thousands of feet. And that just happened from the water consistently running against that rock. And, a lot of people can sprint, but people can't sprint marathons, man.
I've learned that when the man with the money meets the man with the experience, the man with the experience ends up with the money, and the man with the money ends up with the experience. And I think what we're here doing is building this experience piece. Man, I've been watching you on LinkedIn recently. Why are you sharing your schedule every single day?
Man, I need people to understand what's happening, man. You know, you gave me a hard time about it. It was probably 18 months ago. You're like, Jerome, you're not telling people what's going on. You're not telling people what's happening. You're not sharing results. And I said, man, it's a personal thing. But look, man, this week I went over 650 coaching calls for the year.
Woo! 650. Man.
50 calls. And that doesn't count the giveaways. That doesn't count the I need to just check in.
Yep.
Doesn't count the text messages. There's a guy out there that gives a few minutes of Vox in his coaching plan. I'm brainstorming last night at 7:30 with somebody about a new product launch via text.
Yep.
And I said, you know what? I know other people who will give you 3 to 10 minutes a month on Voxer for in between session support. And it was like, yeah, that's not my coach. And so here's the thing, man. I realized that there's a lot of people out there looking for a little bit of support. They know that they've reached that lid, right? They're hitting up against the lid. And the opportunity to lift that thing, they don't know what to do. And we're literally pulling the lid back so people can jump out of the glass jar and reach heights that they haven't dreamed of because they didn't know it was possible. And the funny part is, and I don't know if you checked the mail yesterday, but if you didn't, you need to.
No, I check the mail once a week.
Yeah, you need to go check the mail because there's something in there for you.
Okay.
And so we're doing something really special for a really, 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 really small group of people. And it's my treat. It's my treat. And I just want to put some of y'all in a room so you can actually see what's happening. Right. And it's not for public consumption. Social media doesn't get the best part of our lives, man. And these experiences, when you sit back and really reflect on them, and I know we'll do that for this in particular, because you've decided to be super open about your journey. But a lot of people are private, man. They don't want anybody to know how hard they're working. They just want them to see the outcomes and the results.
Yeah.
And I just believe that the more of these apex performers that can get together and get to know each other and know that, hey, this isn't weird, right? It's not weird that we're up before 5 o'clock. That's not weird. That's normal operating procedure, standard operating procedure for those people who are going to impact hundreds of thousands and millions.
Power
That's
moves.
the standard operating procedure. Yeah, it is. And there's just a discipline that most people will never be able to comprehend that goes with the ability to move mountains in the most, what appears to be effortless way. We get rewarded for what we do in the dark, man.
Yeah.
That's why those morning runs when there is no sun, and I'm talking to the sun saying it's time for you to get up. You're sleeping in the day. It continues to motivate me. It continues to excite me, and to see other people on that journey and encourage them. Because when you get in the desert and you're looking for that oasis, or you're still trying to figure out how to get to paradise, it's lonely, man.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can feel dire, but it's not. If you're able to continue the right pace and you have appropriate rations, you'll be able to make that journey. Sometimes you just need a little encouragement in that ear.
Makes sense. I totally agree. And I'm calling this episode Power Moves because I want you guys to hear a few things that are really taking what we've talked about the last 2 weeks in regards to prioritization and made it very simple. I'm going to talk about that in the learnings piece of today's episode. But I wanted to start with why we're doing this. And I think that's a great reason is, this stuff takes a lot of work. It doesn't just happen. And it doesn't just happen overnight. I've had a lot of inspirational dissatisfaction lately in regards to just being patient, understanding that this is going to take time. But I feel successful because I'm able to get better every day in regards to emotional intelligence, stress management, physical health, mental health, and then actually doing a better job and giving a better product and service to our clients. It always doesn't feel like that when you're going through it, but you got to have confidence that the system is on. And that's what we talked about when we talked a lot through Atomic Habits and James Clear's work. But where I wanted to focus at today was a couple different things. I got some big wins, got some losses, got some learnings. But before I do that, and we may not even get to that today. We'll see. We'll see when Ezra gets up this morning. We may get to that. But I have to ask you, why are we doing extraction in March? I need extraction in December or January. What are we doing it in March for? What am I supposed to do the first quarter?
The first, that's why we're doing what we're doing in December.
Okay. All right.
I need a quarterly meet. I need a quarterly meet. Why are we doing extraction in March? Because what happens for most people is they hit the ground running in January. By February, they're asking questions. And in February, they're out.
Okay.
And I need you to be reminded in the chaos that, look, this isn't sprints. This is not a bunch of sprints and fits and starts. This is a pace where you're able to continue to finish and go and go and go and go and do whatever it takes for however long it takes in order to accomplish the mission, whatever
Power
that
moves.
mission is for you.
Power moves, sustainability, all things that we've talked about. Look, Compression Podcast got named top 10 podcast by our man, Anthony Vicino, which that list, being on that list was incredible. So huge shout out to Anthony for putting that list together, having this podcast be a part of those 10 out of the thousands and thousands of podcasts was pretty great. So that's a huge win. And that's a big testament to what we're doing on a regular basis, people sharing everything that's going on here. And I think for it being just a little bit different and unique, putting myself on blast every single week, talking about the hard things and letting you guys kind of go along that journey and hopefully pull out some things you can learn about there. So that was a big win. We got the workout room moved from upstairs to downstairs, using the house in a much better way. Got that taken care of, got the new rowers set up. So I've been hitting some rowing. If you're interested in a rowing challenge, myself and one of my good friends are doing a rowing challenge every single week. This week was simply getting a baseline at 2,000 meters. If you beat 7 minutes and 38 seconds, holler at me and I'll get back on the rower and beat you. But right now that's the mark to beat. That's about 150 to 155 for 4 500-meter kind of sprints there over a little bit of a marathon. And I did it twice this week, and I did 738.6 and 738.8. And I didn't know what my first time was until I looked at it after, and I got done with that second one. I was like, man, I must have crushed that second one. I actually beat it the first time. I was like, come on, man, 0.2 of a second. And I remember I was going after the world record. I was 0.4 of a second off the actual all-time world record, which has been beaten now, which it should be. But man, this game is tenths of seconds. It's centimeters. It's the inches, man. I mean, 5 feet from gold, right? I mean, that's the story that we're doing here. So you just got to keep showing up. Had a plateau breakthrough this week on the weight. So I was stuck at 265 for a while, guys. I'm down to 263.8, which I feel really good about. And that was after.
You mixed it up. You shock the body with a different type of workout and you get rewarded for it. Look at that.
And that was after drinking 3 pounds of water that morning too. So I know it was true weight, which is awesome, man. So Had some nice wins on that stuff. Thank you for the compression podcast top 10 list. We're going to keep doing this. On that note, man, what does compression in your mind look like next year? What is this thing? We're going to hit the $100 million mark here very soon. Got a couple more projects we got to get over the finish line, but I'm feeling pretty good about that. So what is the goal of compression for 2022, which is so weird to even say? 2022. What is the goal, man? In your mind, what do you think this thing turns into?
I think we've got to go more interactive, man. I see us getting some folks together and, helping them figure out how to break through what they've been working on.
Okay.
The people who are listening to this are diehard, or they want to be diehard, but they may not have access to people who can help them break through that, or they may be asking questions about the people who are proclaiming that they can help them get through it. And so, they've been able to watch here. I think this is episode 100. They've been able to watch for 100 episodes how the work gets done. And while they don't get everything, they get a good portion of it. So they have some really good insight on the process. And, for those folks who are excited about getting up early and working on yourself and doing the hard things and not being a prima donna and building a personal brand. And all of these things are key components to go to that next level. And I think in a very prescriptive way, we can fold these models into learnings that can be shared with people in a group environment. And I don't think it's virtual. I think it's face to face. I think people are interested in community in a real way. And so I think the podcast turns into some community and group type opportunities for folks who are interested.
All right. Well, stay tuned on that. We'll keep working through that. I don't disagree with you on that front at all. I think that the face-to-face and meeting folks and having those relationships is extremely important. Man, I'm wondering right now, we're November 20th. We'll check in on the 30, 60, 90-day plan here in 10 days because we're going to be in 60 days of that 90-day plan very soon. Big progress on that for me personally and professionally. But right now, what's the number one book that you've read the last 30 days or best success tip that you're re-implementing into the process right now, man? What have you been put up on game recently on, and share that with us so we can kind of take that away and I can add some thoughts to it.
Yeah, man. What's crazy is I just started reading this book. I'm probably 100 pages into it, by a guy I met back in September. And he introduces this concept of six.
Okay.
He believes everything can be explained in laws of six. And, for the red pill, it aligned with that because there's 6 levels to the red pill. But what he really shook my world up with was there's 6 seasons. 6 seasons. I was like, wait, what? And he said, there's harvest, where you actually go out and you used to do the hay bales, right? You go out, you get from the field the rewards from all the hard work of the summer. And then there's another season in between winter and spring where all the stuff that was stored up during the winter is released so that it can go into spring and then grow. And I was like, what in the world is going on here? And he's like, it's not 3 months for each season. It's more 2 months for each season. And so I started doing some research, man. And the folks in Eastern culture believe in 6 seasons. And so this isn't a new concept, but it was the first time I got exposed to it. And so, I think we might stop doing, at least in my world, stop doing quarterly things and start doing kind of, 2 months increments where you're really getting to a defined outcome in that time. And you're there are times where I just gorge, right? I just consume.
Right.
And then when it comes, and then I get to a place where I don't want to consume anything. It's all output. Everything's
Mm-hmm.
flowing out. And I thought I was just weird, right? You did it back in February when you went in the cave and you started writing. And I think we got a standard operating procedure out of it.
Yep.
It gave us the framework for the new marketing organization that we have at FTW now. And I don't know that many people are exposed to that, man. And so that's one of the things that I'm getting super curious about. I just got a new book yesterday that I haven't opened yet, but it's from Mark Victor Hansen and Crystal. Crystal, I don't even know how to say Crystal's last name, but Crystal Dyer. And it's it's about asking. And it's called The Bridge from Your Dreams to Your Destiny. And I heard him on a podcast. I can't remember if it was Ed or
Yeah.
Tom or somebody, but I heard him a while back and I never picked up the book. And so before the end of the year, I'm gonna get through that one too, man. So
Okay.
it's kind of weird, you know, but this concept of six, and I know there's that book out there, that concept of the was a 3 month year or something like that.
Yep.
And I know like Ed talks about having 2 work days where he does one
Yes.
before lunch and then another after lunch. And I'm pulling completely back and saying the way that we think about time, is it the most efficient, and is it serving us in the way that is getting us to our highest level, our highest efficiency?
Yeah. I like that. And it also gives people a different, methodology to kind of work through as well. I think that it's important to be able to, 5-year plans, 3-year plans, 1-year plans, but how you actually get there, man. I mean, that's where the gold and the brilliance is created, and how you break it up is super important. What I'm finding this year is my weeks, days, months go by very fast. And so, in reality, I do have 2 work days as well. It's kind of like the 4 to 10 work day for me, and then 10 to 5. Then I got my family time from 5 to 7, or 5 to 9, whatever that is. So I really have kind of 3 work days, so to speak, in regards to my methodology and kind of how I'm breaking these things down. It's like, plan in the morning, work on myself, then go execute, and then zoom out and be a husband and father at the same time later in the day. So that's an interesting thing to think through. I like that seasons piece. Jim Rome wrote a book, Seasons of Life, which I really like as well. It's always kind of difficult to know what season you're in sometimes and be okay with that season that you're in as well. I'm kind of in the season, just on this same thread, of I think that I've got all the information that I need. It's repurposing it and implementing it that I've been kind of really focused on. And we talked about that a couple of weeks ago on the podcast. Was like, look, man, it's more self-mastery right now and focusing on inner work than it is anything else. And, I find myself doing that kind of subconsciously every year whenever we're kind of resetting for the next year, so to speak. But, when you're in a sprint all the time, it's hard to take pause and get those, stop in the, what's it called when the car's going to the pit stop, and get your wheels changed and get moving. So I'm excited to see this. I'm going to keep sprinting from December to January, February, and then kind of zooming out in extraction in March, which will be very excited, man. So thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that. I think there's some wins we've already talked about this week. Professionally, there was some wins this last week as well. We had a new webinar for our project that we're launching. We had the most folks that have ever registered for that webinar on the new side of things, which is a testament to the marketing that we did beforehand. The education that we did beforehand in the process was really great. And, it yielded some results to the tunes of 7 figures coming in yesterday, which was fantastic.
Whoa.
We got
Whoa. Wait, do you remember when, and I say this every time because I don't want you to forget. Do you remember when 7 figures was a lot of money to raise, and
oh yeah,
you're getting it in reserves in a webinar? Come on.
I got five 7 figures to go raise on this project. So it's going to take some serious follow-up and some work, but that's totally fine. What I'm really proud of is having all of the work done pre the launch and then having everything post. And it's just makes the process so much more seamless. So I'm very, very proud of that launch that we did recently and excited for that follow-up process to continue. I think the biggest thing I want to talk about though is one of the learnings. And, we've talked about the focus funnel, eliminate, automate, delegate. Okay, great. How do I actually apply that to my everyday life, right? And you hear people talk about the Eisenhower matrix, what's important, what's urgent. Okay, but what happens when everything's important and urgent? And I had this concept, kind of exposed to me through Andy Frisella of the power list, and I was looking for his journal to get available, and so I picked it up. And you can do this. You don't have to have this journal. It's a nice journal and all that stuff, but this is how to use a power list. And this is how I have taken all of the focus funnel and made it very simplified, because Ed Milet always talks about, man, a confused mind is always going to say no, and it's always going to be stuck in inaction. So if you're, somebody who doesn't know what to do and you got, paralysis by analysis going on, getting really good at this power list is a great tool. So I'm going to read how to use this. So every day you write in 5 critical tasks to complete for that day. If you complete the task, you get to put a check mark next to it. If you do not, it's an X. If you complete all 5 tasks that day, you win the day, and you circle the W at the bottom of the page. And if you don't, you circle the L. Once a task has been on your power list for 21 days straight and has been completed all 21 days in a row, it's considered a habit that you're going to complete automatically. And you now must remove that task and replace it with a new critical task. The goal is to win every single day. When you create a habit of winning, it creates momentum and confidence. When you win enough weeks, you win the month. When you win enough months, you win the year, and you win enough years, you win your life. And that's what this power list is about. And so what I did was I started to say, okay, got all these initiatives, got all these things. And I think what people really appreciate about me is being able to take a big idea and then start chunking it down and say, what is the action that I can take today to move this thing forward, and doing that every single day. And I'm sharing this with our employees. I'm sharing it with my partners via Slack. And then I'm checking back in every single day. This week, I only hit 2 of the wins for that week. And so honing in what these critical tasks are and making sure that you personally can actually complete those tasks, right? So I put a couple of tasks on there that were outside of my circle of control. And it was in more of my circle of concern. And this was a huge breakthrough for me this week, because where anxiety comes from is expectations not being met. And so whenever I was putting tasks down to complete for the day that were outside of my circle of control, that creates anxiety. So I started to replace those with things that I could focus on and actually create action on and move in the right direction. And that's made all of the difference. And I think sharing this, especially when you have employees and they have a lot of different initiatives, communicating that and asking, what are your top 5, and then iterating on those and saying, no, actually you need to move that down here, or that doesn't need to be on the list, we need to replace that, has been great. And then it obviously keeps folks accountable as well. And so this power list, I think, is one really easy way to simplify this thing. 5 seems like a lot to me sometimes, because really if you get one of them done, sometimes it can be everything. But if you already have habits like waking up early or whatnot, you can't put that on your list, man. If you're already reading 10 pages a day, you can't put that on your list. Now, if it's something you're kind of wavering on, put it on your list and do it for 21 days and make that a new habit again. But for me, it's like, I don't need to put workout on there. I don't need to put, drink 265 ounces of water every single day. I don't need to put that stuff on there because that's already implemented in there. What I got to put on there is, breathe throughout the day, relax, release tension. That's one that I had on there quite a bit this week. And then the other ones are very tactical, right? So, we're starting Exchange CRE up. So, okay, well, what did I need to do this week? Well, there was a couple things that I had to do. I had to review marketing proposals for the actual launch of the business. I had to do a few things on those. So those were on those, and I got those done. And the whole idea about this power list is, if you get these 5 things done, you can kind of, Andy says, kind of goof off the rest of the day. Obviously, we're not all CEOs of a 10-figure business, so we all can't do that, right? But like, you are the business, you are the CEO of your own business and the CEO of your own life. And so being able to think through it like that, knocking those 5 things out of the day and then moving forward and getting better at putting the right ones on there is how you take this focus funnel of eliminate, automate, and delegate and get it moving in the right direction, man. So I'm really proud to say, like, I'm really excited to see where this power list goes. And I know a lot of people have had a lot of success with it, but not just using it myself, but using it for folks that directly report to me and then using it in our business as well. Do you implement something like that? Or you heard about this kind of power list concept in the past?
Yeah, I've heard of the list. I don't implement. So for me, it was ideal schedule, right? And
Yep.
you'll see me, and for, maybe a year, I was writing my ideal schedule and my calendar didn't look like my ideal schedule. And so every day that when I go through my journal and I fill in the slots on my ideal calendar, if I don't have something to put there, it's a trigger, right? I I don't have what I'm supposed to have on my calendar.
Yeah.
And it forces a reconciliation. And so back to your point about, hey, what you have is what you wanted, right? You actually earned that. And that was another concept that came up this week. The life that you have right now is exactly the life that you created. Whether you want to accept responsibility for that or not, it's a truth. And so by going through the list every day, writing out what's supposed to be on the calendar, reconciling it against what actually is, and then on the next day, looking back and saying whether or not I did it or not, back to kind of the check boxes that Andy's given us, that instills confidence every day that you get closer. And when you have that ideal day, you have a feeling that goes with that. And that feeling usually releases dopamine, which makes you want to do it more.
Yeah.
And then your actual activity, your presence begins, and it's going to get woo-woo right now. It begins to attract more of that so that you can continue to get that release so that you feel completely healthy, right? Because the mental health is just as important as the physical health.
Yeah, man. I mean, think back to the episode that we did on the GPS, the 30, 60, 90-day plan. You hear us talk a lot about most valuable priorities. You're going to hear MVPs on that, on that podcast episode. What we're doing here is taking the PPAs or the profit producing activities and making them actionable every single day. So if you're not sure what should go on your list, go back, listen to the 30, 60, 90-day kind of GPS methodology. Those are your MVPs. And then make sure your power list is tied directly to those, because that's your profit producing activities, man. I wanted to make sure everybody got that. I think it's a great tool. You don't have to buy the journal. Go listen to the episode that he talks through that. If you don't like profanity, I'm sorry. That's, he's going to cuss every single episode. So, but Ben Newman, who is another guy I really respect, is on that episode with him talking about how he implements kind of similar methodology as well. Look, I mean, this is what achievers and top performers are doing. Even the lazy ones, quote unquote, lazy ones, have a power list, and they can be lazy, so to speak, because they know what those 5 things are and they're implementing them on a regular basis. All right, I'm going to end today. We got a lot out of that episode. This was great. I got some big news next week that will drop on the Compression Podcast in regards to the $100 million mark. But Winston Churchill hit the nail on the head when he said, success consists of going from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. Without loss of enthusiasm. Failure is feedback. Use it to your advantage. Be open, be coachable, be humble, get better, and don't do it again, right? And so Winston Churchill, obviously very successful guy in his own right. He's a great writer too. He had some really great thoughts. I mean, success consists of going from failure to failure without the loss of enthusiasm. Stay enthusiastic, stay gritty, get out there, make sure you got your GPS. It doesn't matter if we only have, 45, 50 days, 40 days left of the year. Start now. It doesn't matter. You got to start now and then implement with the power list or something that you can do on a regular basis. This stuff is not hokey. This is what gets results. And this is how you're going to be continue to win on a regular basis. Jerome, any last thoughts, man, before we close up for today?
Proud of you, brother. I'm proud of you. Like
Keep working.
I know the fight you're fighting, and I think it's a worthy cause and it's a worthy pursuit, and it's really amazing to see how far you've come.
Thanksgiving is coming up, guys. And one last thing I'll leave us with. I know it's usually with a quote, but in 2.5 hours, I got to be a part of kind of giving back and helping people. And this is so important in life. To whom much is given, much is expected. And not everybody can be in front of a camera like this and have a podcast and do all of that stuff. If you live in the United States, you probably can to an extent. We've talked about that too on the podcast, but we've got 7 guys and 5 trucks going to help a single mother in need move from one apartment to the other. We identified the apartment for her, trying to keep her out of getting into kind of the path of poverty. And Taylor had the great idea of giving them a Christmas gift as well, so we can help out with their children's gifts for the year as well. So don't ever forget to find time and opportunities to actually give back. And writing checks is one thing. The other piece is, for me, is actually taking time away from my family at 9:00 in the morning on a Saturday and going helping people out. So don't forget about what all this is about, right? And it's all about being able to help other people along their journeys, but then also finding opportunities to do that on a regular basis. So just want to make sure that people understand that where the focus is, and one of the big reasons why we do everything that we do is to try to give back and to help. But if you don't make it a priority, it's never going to happen. So excited about that as well today. Going to go up and down some stairs, move some big couches, use my muscle, hopefully to some advantage. But and I'll tell one more story. We got this guy that lives close to our house. And when I say lives, he's homeless. He doesn't have a home. And he's out right at the busiest intersection every single week. And Bella and I were going to school the other day. And I make it a point to have a bunch of money in my wallet all the time. And not because I want to carry, it's not Grant Cardone's. I don't have $10,000 in my wallet all the time like Grant does. It's not a mindset thing. It's because I want to be able to give money to people that I see in need. And this guy he shows up all the time, happy, waving, doing his thumbs up and doing all this thing. And he's got a sign around his neck and it says something like 2 nubs. And I'm like, what the heck does this guy, what is he talking about? Well, we're stopped there the other morning and this guy's got his feet out. It's 45 degrees out. It's cold. He's got his foot out and he's cleaning his feet. And it reminded me of a Bible story as well, is being able to clean other people's feet and having the humility to do that. But this guy doesn't have any feet. He's got nubs. He's got 2 nubs and a cane, and he walks to that part every single day. And Isabella, I made sure that she saw, and I stopped traffic and stopped there, and we gave him some money this week. And Isabella learned a big lesson that day. And I said, baby, we are so blessed to have a home, to have a family, to have all of these blessings, food, shelter, water, everything that we could ever need. Not everybody has that. And she said, he doesn't have a home. So he doesn't have a home, baby. And so she said, we give him money. I said, yes, we're going to give him money. So just two really quick stories on that front, guys. And I'm not doing that to toot my own horn. Ben Kogut was in town earlier this year. He saw me dropping off, bags to the homeless, delivering food to the food pantries. Just look for opportunities to give back and try to help people on a regular basis. That's the only way our world is going to get better. And we're going to continue to thrive as a community, as a human race. And it's something that is near and dear to my heart. And I just want to use my platform and voice to say and make a call out there for people to do that and show by example, especially if you have little children, because that's what's going to be the biggest impact. All right. Before I get too emotional about that, I'm going to wrap it up, man. So success consists of going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. Don't forget your why. Don't forget why you do this on a regular basis. Thanks again for all of the support, getting a top 10 podcast with the Compression Podcast. There'll be some iterations on this going forward. Looking forward to talking to everybody next week. Thanks, Jerome.
Out.
Hey, compressors. If something you heard struck you, made you feel a little bit uncomfortable, good. Head on over to compressionpodcast.com. And then you can also subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast at. If you feel inclined to, please leave us a review. It's obviously helpful. But instead, I'm going to call you out today. I'm going to call you out and make sure that you do your part, sharing this message by sharing it with one person that might need to hear what we talked about today. Be great. Nothing else pays.